Next there, please, now. There we go. Understandings here. We'll see a lot of these things kind of kick up here over the next, over the presentation here. And I just want to make sure that we've got some terminology down. So one of the things that we like to bring up are these two words up here on top. Recovery point objective, RPO, and recovery time objective. These two numbers are what's going to drive a lot of budgets. So the RPO time is how old is the information, data, once that disaster happens. RTO time is how long does it take for me to recover my system, key thing here, once a disaster has been declared. Okay? So RPO time could be, if you do your traditional backups, maybe your RPO time is 24 hours, because if you do a backup at midnight and the disaster happens at 5 p.m. the next day, you've lost your data from 5 p.m. all the way until like midnight. Is that okay? Or can I handle that loss? I see that when people get into those discussions, is our information transactional? Is it highly transactional, or is it kind of static? That may help people figure out their RPO time. RTO time is, once again, once a disaster has been declared, not once the disaster happens, but once it's been declared a disaster, how long does it take for us to come back up again? And I say that piece of it there because sometimes companies have a hard time declaring it a disaster. They're not even sure what it is yet. So the next couple of phrases is I see a lot of people get between business resumption plan or business continuity planning, whatever you want to call it, and disaster recovery. Business resumption planning is my overall business of it. Oh, we went ahead there. No. So what is my BCP? So on my BCP, it's going to encompass more things than just IT. It's going to encompass HR, shipping, manufacturing, marketing, finance, sales. It's going to recover all of my business operations, not just IT. When people talk about DR, DR is underneath BCP or business resumption planning, as just mostly focused around recovering the IT systems. So when we talk to people, we really want to know, is this a DR plan or is this a business resumption plan? Okay, those are two different things. Communication plan. This is probably, we've talked about some things there, RPO, RTO time, DR, documentation, those type of risk assessment things. Communication plan is the next big thing that we really want to. One of the things that we kind of go through here a little bit on the presentation is around the idea of the traditional DR versus there's this idea of things being virtualized more. The virtualized is definitely the new technologies, your VMware, your stand-to-stand replication, marrying maybe a cloud type of a thing. This is where a lot of people are kind of heading, but a lot of people are still in that traditional DR plan. Okay, the challenge that people have as we kind of go and look at the old versus like the new is, number one, confidence and understanding the capabilities too of the virtualization piece of it. And understanding also your own requirements and your own budgeting. Maybe you've got something that has traditionally worked, but now it's not going to work anymore. And you think of things like, well, I'm going to do it myself, the traditional plan, hardware requirements, the physical, the manual processes, all of those things that take hours to really bring up, instead of looking at something that's more virtualized. Maybe everyone can't be virtualized yet. I've got a lot of things that are still physical, and we've got to deal with the things that aren't virtualized. Once you become virtualized, this definitely does open up a lot more different areas and a lot more different capabilities for you to now deal with your DR a lot different than you would maybe in a traditional sense, maybe with your tape or those type of like challenges. So please, as you look at this, don't think I'm going to go virtualization and I don't have to change my DR plan, or I want to change my DR plan but I'm not virtualized yet. Those will have some rubs on some of the capabilities that we're seeing that are available to people now. Next one, please, now. As we kind of go through here, a lot of things that do come up, still people are trying to figure out what would happen if we have a disaster. You know, I hear a lot of things about, well, what is the ROI? What is How much is this, is this going to cost? Do we really have a plan? How does this impact us? And go to the next slide, please, Nop. One of the things that we look at is the business drivers. The number one business drivers to answer all those questions really is, have you had your own event? So events drive everything that we do. There are the things, number two, being the like the regulatory people, the people that are coming in and auditing, and definitely they have an impact. The change, though, becomes from what I have as far as a DR plan that my auditors read compared to how we actually do it. That DR plan, it doesn't always mean that's how it gets done. That means that's what the auditor has read and has approved. It doesn't mean that's how your systems or your people work. So events are the number one reason why we finally see people say, we've got to make this DR stuff work, and it's got to work. We can't be just getting through the audit. And that's the regulatory people. Service providers, a lot of people are doing services now, and before people give them their services, they want to make sure that you, as a service provider, you have a DR plan. So this is the third thing that we've seen kicked up a lot more over the past couple of years, are service providers expanding their DR capabilities. And services are all over the place. It just doesn't mean you're a cloud provider. A lot of people are doing a lot of things as a service for companies to get their business processes accomplished. Okay. Fourth that we see as far as a business driver is just around the best practices. This is the idea that the Boy Scout model, we all need to have one, we all need to be prepared, so on and so forth. Great to have. The challenge, and I'm sure all of us have, is do we have enough of that across the board at the executive level to buy in that we need to have one of these without the other three things happening? Okay, next one please now.